All right, welcome in this week to Gridiron Icon, and I have an icon of different sorts this week, and a Seattle Seahawks fan. I know my listeners are probably going, "What?" A Seattle Seahawks guy and a leader in their media world, Sami Jarjour, host of Sport on Tap Seattle, Pod That Brothers, and Stuff That Matters podcast. But as I know, watching your podcast and watching your YouTube channel, you are all things Seattle Seahawks, my man. So welcome in.
I appreciate you having me today. And then I am, yes, all things Seahawks, basically, and all things Seattle. We're not that bad, though, I promise.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're being friendly here. And as a diehard Rams fan, and I'm really open about that on this podcast, to have a Seahawks fan in is pretty fun. And I'm going to take some jabs at you that are probably going to hurt a little bit, considering number 54 now wears horns. But we will get to that, man. Just a couple of words on you. How did you become a Seahawks fan? 32 teams in the league. How did Sami become a Seahawks guy?
The classic old way of being born in a city and basically being a 5-year-old that decides his future of fandom. And you know, it reminds me of this tweet I saw recently. It was some girl tweeted this and it went viral on Twitter, and it was just men really pick their favorite teams when they're 5 years old and just suffer through it for the next 80 years of their life. And I was like, that's pretty accurate. Now, as a Seahawks fan, we've been okay, but I'm a Seattle Mariners fan, and for those that watch baseball will know that they haven't been in the playoffs for 21 years. So I'm one of those people that just was born in a city, and I was like, I guess these are my teams, and I guess I'm never let go of that, and I haven't.
Totally. Same guy. Why do I live out in the Pacific Northwest, and I'm a Rams fan? I was born in Los Angeles. There you go. I'm also a Laker fan, big shocker, and Dodger fan, big shocker. But I got to tell you, man, Seattle, yeah, you guys have been through it, and you got some legends up there. I mean, you've even unfortunately lost the Supersonics, but Kevin Durant was there. And then, of course, Ken Griffey Jr. This is all, I'm a few years ahead of you in age for those watching on YouTube. So,
we had some legends in Seattle with not a lot of winning for many, many years, which was really odd. I think we finally got, some success here in the 2010s era. But before that, there was a lot of Hall of Fame type of talent on every sports team in Seattle with years of no championships. So it took a while.
And I got to tell you, I don't want to be an ageist here or anything, but I used to go to the Kingdom. I'm sitting here trying to scramble on air. We're trying to think, was Sami even born then?
No, I was.
You were, okay.
I used to go to games at the Kingdom, and I remember every year we used to go to the monster trucks there. Kingdom was like a big thing in Seattle. As monster trucks, the Mariners games, and there was just a lot going on there early in my life, but quickly transitioned.
Yeah, I'm literally trying to do the math in my head, and that big old concrete beast, man, when that thing came down, I'll never forget that. But yeah, Seattle sports is great, and folks, for those listening, we'll plug it again before the end here, but go check out Sami and his brother and their plethora of podcasts, most especially Sports on Tap Seattle, where he talks about the Seahawks. So let's talk about the Seahawks.
Yeah, let's do it.
I got to start in the obvious spot, man. And as a Rams fan, you're going to see that I probably have some different questions than most people. Let's start with Russell Wilson, man. I never saw this day coming. I thought it was rumors. It's been a couple of weeks now. You've had time to kind of emotionally see him in a Broncos uniform.
It's weird.
I can't get used to it, man. What in the world happened there, and what's kind of the vibe in Seattle around the Russell Wilson, I guess, ending?
I think there's definitely a lot of pettiness going on by people, even whether it's media, fans, whoever it is. I feel like a lot of people are, for the most part, kind of just anti-Russell Wilson right now. You obviously have some of the thanks for the Super Bowl and thanks for being great in this era, but I think it feels like, I guess, especially for somebody like me, and I know a lot of my friends around me, and I'm obviously, all over, Seattle sports on all this social media and different things. So I know how people are feeling. There's a couple, there's a lot of people that are kind of just like, all right, time to move on from this guy. Russell Wilson's an amazing person. He's an amazing football player. But the minute you started to feel like he did not want to be on the team, it makes it hard to keep loving him, right? You know, it's a little different than your quarterback, like a Matt Stafford when he left Detroit. I think Detroit fans were kind of giving him up like we understand. Yes. I think as a Seahawks fan, we don't understand. Like, okay, like you had a down year or two. You were hurt half this year, and you want, you know, it felt like a lot of just like, I don't want to compare him to Aaron Rodgers and the attitude stuff, but like it felt Aaron Rodgers-esque, like it's everybody else's fault, not mine. So I want to go somewhere else. And I didn't really like that vibe.
Yeah. No, I meant to say at the outset, my son, who is obviously closer to your age, he is a diehard Seahawk fan. Same thing. The last couple of years, I started hearing some things out of his mouth that I was like shocked at. Like he's kind of getting corny. He doesn't seem to want to be there. Yeah,
everyone says it.
Really? Okay. Yeah. Look, I'm trying to be careful here.
no, everyone says it.
Yeah, and of course, then Sierra comes on the scene, and God, he did a lot in the community, and I get it. But I'm a little surprised to hear people are so quick to say, "Okay, time to go." Even though I can relate to that, man. I mean, as a lifelong Rams fan, we've had guys who just wanted off the team, so to speak. Eric Dickerson was one that I remember, and that was an ugly divorce back in that day. Okay, so Russell is out. Seahawk fans, the vibe is, maybe it's time.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'll add one thing. Don't get me wrong. If he was like, I want to stay in Seattle, everybody would be like, oh, I love Russell Wilson. I think it's a pettiness thing. Like, he wanted out, so we're angry, and we're like, okay, go. If he was like, I want to stay in Seattle and stays, I think everyone's going to be the same amount of love towards Russell Wilson. Sure. It's one of those situations.
Yep. That's football. That's sports fans. I mean, exactly. Everybody's fickle as hell with that stuff. Do you think, I mean, looking back at his career now, I gotta confess, as again, a Rams fan, I see a lot of Russell Wilson, and I'm also live just out south of you for a few miles. He should have been MVP of the league a couple times. Yeah. I mean, I argued it in years when I didn't want to argue it because he's a Seahawk, but without Russell Wilson, that team, I mean, he was carrying that team a couple seasons. Do you think that they could have done more around? I mean, is the fan base in Seattle, your podcast listeners, do they feel like they could have done more for Russ? More offensive line, more running game?
Yeah, I feel like there's two parts almost to this, because maybe even like a 3-part answer. Because
it's not easy.
It's not, because you know, like I kind of mentioned already, is the like, you don't want that feeling of like a Aaron Rodgers where it's like it's everyone else's fault except for the quarterbacks, right?
Yeah.
So I like try to be careful to like not blame just the organization or blame just the coaching staff or or John Schneider, the GM. I feel like there's a collective answer almost, and I think you'll see it right now in the Seattle sports world. Like, we understand. I think we all understand. I've been begging for years, like, don't draft a running back in the 30th pick in the first round. Like get an offensive lineman. The guy is getting, beat up left and right. I think everybody, as a sports fan, when you see your quarterback going through it, you're like, all right, let's like try to do something to help him out. But at the same time, now when you kind of peel it back and he's left, I'm getting this. I'm starting to maybe see like clear, I guess, like of what was happening. And there's something
less emotion.
It's less emotion. And you do realize too that Russell Wilson is a guy that holds the ball a lot, tries to make magic out of every play, which leads him to why he was or should have been MVP, or at least had some votes, which he never got.
Nuts.
But it's nuts. He's never had an MVP.
Yeah, that's nuts, man.
Yeah. And there's guys like Derek Carr has a couple votes. Carson Wentz got a vote in the past. Dak Prescott, like, come on, Russell Wilson deserves something. Yeah, because he makes magic happen. Like, it's I think he's one of the unique players, just like your guys' quarterback right now. Matt Stafford's one of those unique players that makes magic happen. But when you peel back a little bit, sometimes that magic can cause a lot of commotion in a game. And I was at a Rams game, Monday Night Football last year against the Titans, where he threw that pick at the goal line, like spinning around, like trying to make magic happen, and they played awful that game.
Yeah.
And that kind of is what I'm starting to kind of remember some of that stuff with Russell Wilson, where, okay, the Seahawks needed to do more, But Russell Wilson also never really wanted to change his way. And I feel like at the end of the day, there should be some more equal blame rather than just this. Either it's Russell Wilson's fault or it's just the organization's fault, for example.
Yeah, that's balanced, man. I mean, you can't beat that. I agree. I'm still a little bit shocked by it. I would have thought the Seahawks would have done anything to keep him, but
me too.
When I talk to somebody like you, it becomes pretty obvious to me that it was time for the good old divorce, that they were seeing it that way. So do you think that Russ will, I'm going to use the phrase, man, do you think Russ will cook in Denver? What do you think? What do you see with him?
I think he's going to try. I think they're going to do everything to make that happen. I mean, that is, I guess, to like even add to the last question with this question is, I do think I was shocked the Seahawks let go of him, but I do think one of the main reasons of the divorce was because Russ wants to have his ability to cook, whatever that means for him, right? He wants to run that offense. I think Denver's kind of made it clear already during this offseason that they're going to construct an offense around Russell Wilson, right? And I think what Russell Wilson didn't like in Seattle is that the offense was constructed around what the offense was, not around just Russell. It's around whatever the philosophy is, whatever style the offensive coordinator and, what the whole coaching staff comes up with. But in Denver, they are going to make it designed for Russell Wilson. That's why he ended up going there. That's why he's happy going there. So I do think he'll cook, but I do know that this type of stuff sometimes does not always work out in Russell Wilson's favor. For some of the other reasons I mentioned, I think sometimes he's the best in a balanced offense, which most quarterbacks are. But he holds on to the ball a lot, tries to make special plays happen a little too much. But with all that said, he's probably going to have a better offensive line than he's had in Seattle last 5 years, and he has playmakers. And it's in Denver, and they have great home field advantage, and it's a great organization. As much as it sucks to say, like it's going to be hard if they were really good to watch Russell Wilson just be great on another team this early in not early in his career, but being this young. Yeah, I feel like we still had another 7-8 years left. But I do think he's going to cook, and I do think that even if it's not going perfectly, I think Denver's going to Denver's been looking for the guy since Peyton Manning
it's crazy
for a long. And Peyton Manning was only there for four years, I think it was, and the last one was bad. They haven't had a 5, 6, 7 year guy,
right,
since the 90s, right? So
you're not counting Brock Osweiler.
Wow, Tim Tebow. They haven't had their guy.
Oh my God,
I
forgot about Tebow. That's a good point.
So they're gonna let him cook. They're gonna let him do whatever he wants, and that's why he's gonna be happy there, I think.
Yeah, I think that conversation probably happened before that trigger got pulled. It's like, am I going to do my thing? I'll tell you what, though. I'll give you 3 reasons. I too think Russ is going to be okay. He's got a great wide receiver room there in Denver and the OL. But 3 things that kind of jump out at me are obvious ones. It's called Chargers, Chiefs, and Raiders. And all 3 of those teams got so much better. So, wow, Russ, it's going to be interesting to watch. Let me ask you this before we break gears on the Russell Wilson thing. And I love to get this from a Seahawk fan and a media head. That's what I'm going to consider you here. Did the Hawk dynasty really derail in Super Bowl 49 by just not handing the damn ball to Marshawn Lynch? Whether it's a personal take or your peers, whatever. Is that where things started to go sideways?
I kind of think so, to be honest. And I
do too.
Yeah, it's hard to say no at this point, right? Yeah. Especially just seeing it all unfold. The way, Richard Sherman left and kind of it felt like hated the Seahawks organization. Yep. Earl Thomas left with a middle finger coming off a cart on the field, right?
I forgot about that. Good point.
That's how he ended his Seahawks career. And then you had, you just had these guys, now Russell Wilson's kind of left, and even though he was part of that whole thing, but he just kind of left in not good hands. Bobby Wagner's now left with a kind of a sour taste where he's like, I want to stay. And they're like, no. And that whole era now just feels like it can be after the Super Bowl, I guess, post Super Bowl win, that whole era feels like, man, if they handed the ball off, there might be a lot more camaraderie with this team. And I think it caused a divide with Russell Wilson, not with these 2 specifically, but Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll caused a divide between those 2 and the rest of the the people, because it seemed like Pete and Russ were just, okay, that's our thing now. And you'll notice, I guess this is an interesting thing just as an observation point. I'm, big on social media. I'm all over Twitter, Instagram, different things.
Oh, I see, man. Yeah. I see you working.
I'm always on there. Yeah, I'm always on there. And I always notice a lot of these, and this is a normal thing on Seahawks Twitter, people talk about a lot. It's like a lot of these Seahawks greats are always together. Like Cam Chancellor, Doug Baldwin, Jermaine Kearse, like whoever, Richard Sherman, they're always like hanging out. Marshawn Lynch was, became a part owner of the Kraken, and Cam Chancellor was there, and all these other guys. Like all these guys seem really close, except for I feel like Russell Wilson from that era. And I don't know if that's against Russell Wilson thing or if that's a business thing. That could be a personality, that could be a business. But I feel like ever since that moment, and there's been reports that that's caused a divide, right? Like the defense started getting mad, like Russ, like we're doing this and Russell gets all the credit, and now he's doing all this. So I feel like the collapse actually did happen there. And that's why it almost did feel like this era had to end. But I am still just confused at the end of the day, to be honest. I would have expected, I guess this is a side point, but this era had to end, but I almost expected it to end in a different way, which would have been a new head coach potentially, or a new, just like I just didn't expect it to be trading your franchise quarterback that won you a Super Bowl. I never envisioned that's how like this era is just going to end. Like, oh, we ended up with one Super Bowl after going to back-to-back Super Bowls, and like never won never win playoff game again. Like I just didn't see that happening.
I didn't see that coming either, man. And trust me, if I've got to be in a Super Bowl and it's not my team, I sure as hell wanted to see them beat Tom Brady and the Patriots. I can't even, made me sick that he got another one on just a crazy call. I mean, Russ had him driving. It's just makes me sick.
It was an easy solution. Hand it off.
Yeah, I mean, just give it to Marshawn. Just keep him honest. I still can't believe it. And it's a really good point you make that you never see those guys all busting out at the parties or the clubs with Russ. No, Russ is with Sierra. It's a really good. I've had that pointed out to me as well. That not an accident. It's image.
He doesn't
building.
Seem like he's best friends with all those guys.
He's
and
not one of the boys.
They all seem to have reunions and hangouts and go golfing. And we had Jermaine Kearse on our podcast.
Oh, nice! I gotta catch that.
6 months ago, maybe it was a little bit whiles back. And he talked about his relationship. He's like, I'm always with Doug Baldwin. I'm always with Cam Chancellor. I'm always with Cliff Averill. I didn't want to ask like straight up, like, why not Russell Wilson? I just wasn't trying to make it like a clickbait question. But that was another time where I was just like, I was like, okay, there's like, man, the quarterback, and he still lives in Seattle. It's not like, at least there's some other guys, if maybe he wasn't in Seattle, I'd understand. But
right.
Like, no mention of Russell Wilson. Like, just interesting again.
It's really interesting, right? And you've probably played on sports teams in your life. There's always that guy that's like that. Like, yeah, we like him. He's a good guy. He's, he's this. But yeah, he's not one of the boys. We don't see him.
He's really good. We like him on the team.
Yeah, we like him playing, but he doesn't hang with us, and we don't know his girlfriend, and and all this other stuff. It's kind of a weird thing. So that's a nice segue into my next set of questions for you. I am in the middle of still celebrating that Bobby Wagner is going to play for my team. Yeah. It's a gut punch to you, I'm sure.
Yeah.
What in the world happened there? I mean, 6-time All-Pro, 8-time Pro Bowler. Outside of Russell just being the quarterback, Bobby Wagner is the son of Seattle. I mean, he still lives there. Saw him on Rich Eisen this week. What's the vibe with fans on losing Bobby, and what do you think happened there? Because he's been pretty open about it.
Yeah, that one, it sounds weird to say because, like, I obviously would prefer to have a franchise quarterback, but for some reason the Bobby Wagner one hurt more, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, because the Russell Wilson, like we talked about, kind of had that vibe of he's probably going to be out eventually. And, even Bobby Wagner on the Rick Eisen show, you could see he kind of accidentally said that Russell called him and said, would you come to Denver? And they tried
saw that.
He tried to parlay it later and be like, I meant that, like, we wanted to stay in Seattle. But he said, I knew Russell Wilson was out at that point. And then he was like, I'm good. My heart's in Seattle. And he continually was just like, I want to play in Seattle. So that one hurt the most out of everything because No. First of all, you can't blame him for going to the Rams. He got a good contract. He's might win another Super Bowl. Like, he's playing on an awesome defense, a great system. He's from Southern California. He's going to move to the sunshine in LA, or at least during the season be in LA. I don't know what. Most Seahawks fans in this situation are not upset. They're more upset with the Seahawks on this one, right? And that's like I put out a tweet about it yesterday. In that, it had a lot of interaction on Twitter, and people were all agreeing that this guy is probably the most classy dude in our franchise history. I mean, with all the bad endings that I've mentioned that we had, like Richard Sherman talking crap about the Seahawks, the Earl Thomas flick off, Russell Wilson once requesting trades last offseason and this offseason, and all this stuff that's happened in our short era that we had here. Like, Bobby Wagner was like, it's okay, I kind of want to stay in Seattle. And then, like, even after they released him, in the end, he signed with the Rams. He was like, I want to play good against Seattle, but my heart was in Seattle. I wish I wanted to stay there. And it's like, no, won't say anything bad. Like, outside of the fact that he would like to play well against Seattle, which I don't blame him. He's basically saying, as a competitor, I'd like to play well against the team that released me. But at the same time, he's like, I wanted to stay. So, and you're like, okay, he's not going to end this negatively. He's trying to keep a good face. There was no reason not to keep him on a young roster and have a veteran. And I just don't understand that one. Like, I'm more fired up about, because I don't understand why you would let Bobby Wagner go when he's basically begging you to stay in Seattle and end his career there.
I got to tell you, man, it's wild. Like, it really feels like, from an outsider, like they just want to, we got to wipe out everything from the past, just get it out of here at this point. Even though Bobby's just a good locker room guy and everybody loves him, that's just, I sense with Seahawk fans, and I've listened to your show and stuff, that people really are taking that as a gut punch, that Bobby Wagner's, and then he goes to the NFC West rival and Super Bowl champion.
Yeah, we got to watch him twice a year in a Rams jersey. I don't know if it could get worse.
There's a famous story for Rams fans. Jeff Fisher was our coach at the time, and Bobby Wagner was our next draft pick. And you guys swooped in. I think it was the pick before, or 2 picks before, and grabbed him. And there's a famous story about Fisher just going ballistic in the draft headquarters, just throwing things and like, I wanted Bobby Wagner, and he's throwing. So for some of us, it's like, right on. Robbie
Finally,
Wagner.
We got him now.
He's at OTAs, man, and I'm watching him, and he looks like a man on a mission. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and the guy hasn't aged. Like, a lot of people want to, he might not be at the exact same level that he was at, but the guy's been still, like a Pro Bowler level, a top 5 or 6 guy in football. Like, still to this day, the way he plays, like, because he has that. He's that like veteran that just knows. Maybe he doesn't have the same speed or strength, but he knows where to be at the right times. He's a leader. He knows how to be a leader of a defense. And I just like it. That one actually hurts to see, because he was one. I'm gonna have to watch him with guys like Aaron Donald and wearing a Rams jersey and Jalen Ramsey. Like, that's just gonna suck to see. Like,
maybe you've heard of him.
Yeah, that's gonna suck. That watching like that Drew Lock throw passes against that defense is not going to be fun.
I'm coming to that.
Yeah, like, that's not going to be great. And that one just hurts. Like, I saw Bobby Wagner as like a, I don't know, he's a Cortez Kennedy, Walter Jones, Steve Largent, Kenny Easley type of Seahawks guy. He's not a, okay, like, we don't really want you anymore type of Seahawks guy. That's what just confuses me.
Yeah, I don't blame you for feeling that way, man. I felt that way about Kurt Warner when he left at the Cardinals. And you're going to probably I think Bobby Wagner's always going to be a Seahawk. I think he'll sign that one-day deal and retire as Seahawk. I don't care what anyone says. I just think he's class, even if he wins Super Bowls with us, and I think he will. I say us like I own the team with the Rams.
I say it too.
Yeah, it's like, look, I'm invested. But
this is my team.
You're damn right. I make these decisions. So I think that he will be a Seahawk for life, even if I'm going to say when he wins Super Bowls with us. But we saw Von Miller do it. Is Von Miller going to go in the Hall of Fame as a Ram? Probably not. He'll be a Bronco. Yeah. So I think probably the same.
Not a Buffalo Bill either. Like, he'll be a Bronco.
One of the weirdest stories. I don't want to send you down a rabbit hole, but I was waving goodbye to him when I saw that. Like, okay, get out.
That number, you're like, all right, we don't need that. We'll take Bobby Wagner.
Insane, man. I was like, bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll take Bobby Wagner. Exactly.
Half the price.
we had a bigger hole in the middle at linebacker too.
Yeah.
So God, I'm so excited. So two things. I got a theory that Russell Wilson actually wanted out of Seattle so he didn't have to face Aaron Donald twice a year.
Yeah,
and that Wagner gets to play behind him. So I think this is all about Aaron Donald. I know that shocks you.
it could be. He didn't like playing behind Aaron Donald. But then all of a sudden, remember, he did go – he has to see Bosa on the Chargers. He's got to see I mean, who did the Raiders sign again?
Who's that? They got Max Crosby, and Chandler Jones.
Yeah. They signed Chandler Jones, yes.
Arizona.
And then Khalil Mack also went to the Chargers, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. Good point.
But Russell Wilson ran away, then all of a sudden the AFC West started signing everyone. He was like, here we go again.
I'll tell you, man, that's what I was bringing up earlier. Like, I'll give you 3 reasons Russ may be in trouble, and they're called the Chargers, Raiders, and Chiefs. Like, that defense in the Chargers is nuts.
Yeah.
So the final thing I want to run by you before we bounce into Seahawks of the future here is, did you see the news today that Earl Thomas wants to come back and play football? You're on social media. What am I saying? You probably could told me that. What do you think of that? I mean, he went sideways when he left Seattle.
Yeah, I would stay away from Earl Thomas.
Me too.
Team. And this is no offense to the guy. He was a legendary player. Like, he obviously also went through some personal things that, that was not a good look. And I hopefully everything with his mental health, and, you never know now if CTE and the way players are seeming to go through a lot after they're done playing football, but he went through too much it was post Seahawks and then even post Ravens time. Things just got weird. He's not the same player. And he hasn't, I think what it said, he hasn't played since 2019 or I think
3 seasons?
Yeah, it's like almost 3 seasons. Like, I'm not quite sure what he's hoping to get out of this. I mean, I don't see anybody signing him for more than if he gets even a chance, it'd be maybe like an Eric Weddle situation last year, right? It's what we need somebody at the end of the year and there's a couple weeks left. Otherwise, why would you sign him to or he's gonna have to take a vet minimum type of contract. I don't know what he's looking for.
It's really weird, dude. Even with Weddle, at least he played the season before. Thomas is far removed, and then that stuff with him and his brother, and it's ugly. I don't want him in horns, but I'll tell you what. I saw that news today. I thought I got to ask Sammy about that one. That came out of left field.
I would stay away. He was awesome, but I think the time is up.
Yeah, God. I mean, I think you'd probably agree. For a couple, 2-3 seasons, he was the best safety in football.
Yeah,
he was incredible.
Yeah, there was nothing. I would say it was hard as a Seahawks fan because we had Cam Chancellor and Earl Thomas, so it's hard to it's even hard to pick between the two. Earl Thomas is obviously a little bit better talent-wise, but it was interesting because you had Earl Thomas, the way he was literally by the end of every play, by the time the whistle blew, you'd see his body somewhere, whether he was on the play or he was flying over the line or the last minute hits. He was in the camera frame on every single play.
That's a good point.
Every single time. And you're like, oh, there he is. He might be just rolling over the pile. There's something that he's always there. And then you had Cam Chancellor on the other side, which was just probably the biggest hitting safety we've had the last, 10, 15 years. I don't know if we've seen since they changed the rules in the NFL, he's probably was the closest we had to old school hitting safeties.
As a guy with a little more white in his hair than you, let me tell you what, Chancellor really reminded me a lot of the Jack Tatum's, of the Ronnie Lotts, of the Steve Atwaters. Even as a Rams fan, I'm one of those wide receivers. My head's on a swivel, not for Earl Thomas. It's because Cam Chancellor's back there somewhere.
Yeah,
and that guy,
I'm gonna get hit.
That hit on Vernon Davis of the Niners.
That ended Vernon Davis's career. I'm telling you, not literally, but he was never the same after that. Thing. No.
Yeah, he's like, I think I'm gonna get into acting. That's what he does now. He does commercials. I'm like, it's not a bad idea.
Commercials, started painting. He's like, I don't know if I like this. This getting hit like this. This is not good.
So I'm going to throw something weird at you real quick, and then we'll get into the QBs and the draft for Seattle. And this is not anything I have teed you up for, but it just crossed my mind, and I can't believe I wasn't going to ask you. Jamal Adams, tell us what the vibe in Seattle is there. I mean, lots of money, lots of draft picks, a likable guy. Is he going to play? Like I, ugh.
I don't know.
I didn't tee you up for this, so
Yeah.
I just it crossed my mind. I mean, this is a guy who's looking like one of the best, who maybe following in Chancellor's footsteps, but come on now, he's not Cam Chancellor.
No, and I like Jamal Adams, but he might be the second best safety on the team after Quandre Diggs.
Oh yeah, no question.
So it's hard to see. We traded I know we got back a first round pick for Russell Wilson, but I mean the Jets have our whatever it was the 6th pick in the draft.
Yeah,
for Jamal Adams, he's not even the best safety on our team, so that is a little tough to see. I mean, I feel like we almost it's not the same package. I don't want this to be taken out of context, but when they looked at the first round picks, after you give up what we gave up for Jamal Adams, I feel like we almost got the same thing back for Russell Wilson, right? Not that much more.
I'm not going to argue that. Yeah,
yeah, 2 first round picks. Okay, I don't now. I guess when you were in Super Bowl contention mode, I guess we were in that. So to say, okay, it seems fine, but now when you're looking at the team and I'm still not sure. I don't even know if this is a question I'm getting today, but I'm not sure if we're in rebuild mode or if we're really going to try to be that sneaky, weird. I don't know. You never know
scrappy.
Scrappy. Yeah, that team with that just squeaks out 9 games. I don't know what we're really shooting for. I know the organization says we're not in a rebuild mode, but I don't personally even have the answer yet, and that's what makes it hard to have. Or sorry, the opinion, not an answer. I really don't know, obviously. But
again, we're part owner of the team.
Yeah,
that's what happens when you podcast about your team. Yeah,
I was I haven't talked to Pete yet about it, but we're deciding if we're in rebuild mode or not. So, if Jamal Adams, it's really hard because if we're trying to somewhat compete, I'm okay, I can get over the contract and get over the draft picks. But if we're really going to be a 4-12 now, 4-13 team. If we're going to be 4-13, I'm going to be pretty upset that we have this contract and we have this 6th pick in the draft that went to the Jets. That it's really circumstantial. Same with maybe a Bobby Wagner signing or how Von Miller went to the Bills. You wouldn't pay an older player like that kind of money if you're not contending. And I know Jamal Adams is young, but he has more injuries probably than a Von Miller and Bobby Wagner's career combined. So I don't know if you're not contending. It's a hard contract to stare in the face.
Oh man, it's brutal. Yeah, you got the feeling when it happened they were trying to do the cover 3 Jedi Warrior thing, part 3 with Thomas and Chancellor, but it didn't. It has not panned out that way.
No.
Okay, so let me ask you about Russ leaves, Bobby leaves, Earl Thomas decides I'm off the couch. Lots of good the drama around the Seahawks, man, which is why I reached out to you.
Yeah,
but here's the biggest question of all in my mind. Who is going to play quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks? Is this Geno Smith? Are we talking Drew Lock? Are we going to make a trade for Baker Mayfield, who keeps bringing your team up? Is Jimmy Garoppolo get traded in division? What say you, man? What's the vibe?
Okay.
Go with your gut if you want. I don't care. I want to know what's going to happen.
I'm going to tell you what I think and what I want. I think they're going to ride with Drew Lock.
Okay. The young guy.
Yeah, I think they're going to – and I think Geno's there in case Drew Lock's an epic, okay, we were wrong. A couple games in, let's just put in a vet and let Geno have some fun with it and see what we can come up with this year. But I think – just the way they've been talking about Drew Lock, and I always say Luck, Drew Lock. The way they've been talking. That's
because you really want Andrew Luck to come out of retirement and be a Seahawk.
There's my part 2. I want Andrew Luck to unretire.
I love it.
That would actually that might be my 3rd answer right there. Can I get Andrew Luck to unretire?
Okay, we went to 3.
Yeah, 3. But I think they're talking like he's the starter. They're bringing him into the facilities, the way that social media team even treated it. And I watch this stuff carefully because when a team signs a quarterback, if it's not the guy, they're treated a little different on the social media feeds and the way that the emails the teams are sending out. Drew Lock got the Instagram post of touring the practice facility, signing autographs with the mascot, and I was okay, they're treating him like QB1. They really are. And the way John Schneider and Pete Carroll are talking about him, like, oh, he's been, in a tough situation the last couple of years, on and off starting, and like they weren't in the right situation to succeed, and we like his arm talent. I've just been sitting and I'm like, okay, I think they're really going to go with him, right? And I don't think they're going to draft a quarterback because I just don't think they're that confident in this draft class of like Corral or Malik Willis. Nobody seems too confident with it in general. So I don't think they're going that route. So I think it's Drew Lock, and I don't know if I like it because I just know to win a Super Bowl. I mean, like this is no offense to Drew Lock or to who I'm going to mention in Jared Goff that you guys had. You guys went all the way to a Super Bowl of Jared Goff, and he's probably better than Drew Lock. Yeah, like
he's better.
Yeah. And it still took you guys being like, damn, I need to trade for Matt Stafford to win a Super Bowl. Like, it's hard to do if you don't have the guy. It's really rare. The Eagles were an exception with Nick Foles. He got hot, and like, you have weird exceptions here and there. But the majority of the Super Bowls have been like Tom Brady, Russell Wilson's, the Aaron Rodgers, the Patrick Mahomes, the Matt Staffords, it's not you're not getting Super Bowls out of the Drew Locks of the world. And so I'm just not completely sold on it. But what I really want is Baker Mayfield. And a lot of people, it's not a popular opinion.
Wow.
But I just feel like I know Pete Carroll's mentality, right? He's the happy-go-lucky, compete. Loves the underdogs, right? Loves the underdogs. I feel like he could bring in Baker Mayfield, and instead of Baker Mayfield's kind of like bad competitive attitude, not bad in a way, but like kind of like a, like, oh, I'm an underdog. I think he'd make Baker kind of the uppity kind of like underdog. Like, I'm here to compete and like win games, and maybe more like on the positive side of an underdog. And he knows he can win. As much as people hate on Baker Mayfield, I know the Browns roster was good. He went to the playoffs with the Browns, which is not very doable, and won a playoff game on the road against Pittsburgh, which is hard to do in Pittsburgh, regardless of what the situation was with the quarterback there. Like they were still in the playoffs because they're Pittsburgh. And I just feel like if the Seahawks and bring in a guy like Baker, it's going to take the Browns taking on most of the money because nobody's trading for him. So
I agree with that. Or they're going to have to cut him and just lose it.
Yeah, we're not going to be paying him 20. I think he's owed 21 or 22. I can't remember exactly what it is. It might be 18. Whatever his fifth-year option was.
It's up there.
Yeah, it's up there. It's like 20 to 20. It's like 20 to 25 range. Yeah. They're not going to take that. No one is. There's not a single team in the NFL that is like that in need of a starter to be like, we're going to take on that money. So I think the Seahawks are going to get him for cheap. If he works out, awesome. You're going to run the ball a lot. He's going to, have decent receivers. And if he stays healthy, which he wasn't last year, if he's healthy, he's a pretty decent quarterback. He's not phenomenal, but he's decent. He's won a playoff game. And then if he's good enough, you can re-sign him the next year. If he's not, that was it. He's on a 1-year deal, and let him go. Like, go to this next journey. So I just don't see why not. You can be okay with him is how I feel. My long-winded answer, but that's how I feel.
I got to tell you, man, I was not expecting that because you were the only person. I talk football all day, way more than I need to, and you're the only guy I've talked to that feels the way I do. I like Baker Mayfield. I don't get it. Like, look, he's a little cocky. I like that. I like that in a quarterback. He's got a little Brett Favre-esque in him. I do see a little bit of Russ in him sometimes. The off-schedule stuff. I don't get it. If I'm the Seahawks, I'm monitoring that. And I'm thinking if the Browns, if we back them into a corner and they got to dump him, they should jump at that. Yeah. They should. I'd take him over Garoppolo. I'd take him, like, get Baker up in Seattle. Perfect way to make everybody forget about the Russell Wilson thing and let Baker do his thing. Dude, you surprised me. I think Baker's a real viable option for them. And, I'd have to face him twice a year. So good stuff, man. Okay.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like that answer. You're right. It's like, it's a rare answer in the Seattle world, but he's a good quarterback, like at least for a team that doesn't have a quarterback, right? Like,
he took the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs after decades of not being there. Last year, he played with a broken scapula, like all year long, and he was still competitive.
Yeah, and they still played all right. Like he wasn't perfect, but he was okay. I will say he would be loved. Yeah, he'd be loved in Seattle. I just feel like he has the because he had that Midwest vibe too, like where people liked him.
Yeah.
Like he's the guy with the beard. He's like he's not wearing chains. He's not super fancy.
No.
Like he's the guy that's gonna come in with his beard, wear his hat, like in his sweats and his t-shirt. Like it's a very Seattle vibe, like, and he's gonna have a beer like in the off season with people and be part of the city. I could just see him really fitting into the mold of like what Seattle wants and like the underdog story. So like,
man, you nailed that. You nailed that. Like, I'm seriously thinking about all these like Seahawk promos where they're playing the grunge scene and he's wearing flannel and he's Baker Mayfield. I mean,
it fits, dude. It fits.
Call us, Seattle PR. Call us. We got some ideas. Oh my God, I love it.
I'm glad you like it because a lot of people are like, "Why? He's so cocky." I'm like, "Okay, he's cocky, but he fits."
Everybody hates him. You're literally the first person I've talked to that didn't look at it. Well, actually, my son who's also a Seahawk fan. He likes Baker Mayfield, but almost everyone I talk to is like, "God, I hate that guy." It's like, why?
Yeah.
Like, I can't wrap my head around it. We got Deshaun Watson issues going on, but you hate Baker Mayfield? Like,
exactly. And you said it
bring
best.
him in.
Last year, he played through this broken fibula, collarbone, whatever it was, right? The whole year. That's like all I need to know about him. Like, okay, he cares. That's awesome. Like, I like it.
And I tell you what, he carried himself well in Cleveland. He got him to the playoffs. He had some stuff with OBJ, know.
That's an OBJ thing, maybe. Even
that's OBJ. I mean, he's a Ram, but it's like, I'm not blind. I know OBJ. Yeah. I'm looking at it. I mean, Jarvis Landry didn't complain about him. Njoku didn't. The running backs. I think Baker, man. If I'm Pete Carroll, I'm like seriously eyeballing that. Like, I want everybody watching this Baker Mayfield thing because he got you nailed it, man.
I'm really hoping it happens.
Seattle.
I'm hoping it happens too. I want to be that one guy that was like rooting for it, and everyone's like, I just like it make me really happy to be like, not that I don't want to be right. I just would make me happy to like have to see everybody change their mind on him and be like, all right, fine, like we'll root for him because like I like Baker Mayfield. I don't know what it is. I know a lot of people don't.
I do too.
I just like him.
I do too, and I honestly couldn't tell you what it is. There's just something about the guy that I feel like he's authentic. Me too. What you see is what you get. You're not getting the BS or
it's the opposite of Russell Wilson, kind of.
Yeah,
it's kind of the opposite of Russell Wilson in some way. Personality.
Oh, you nailed that.
You
nailed that. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Like with Rush, you're going, is this really him? Like, does he really believe this weird Instagram stuff he does and everything? Baker's like, dude, I'm not wearing a shirt and I'm drinking a beer. You can love me or hate me. I don't care. Like,
he's pure authenticity.
You nailed that, dude. Like, Seattle, call Sammy. He's got some ideas. Like, he's the anti-Russ.
I got some good ideas for the social team over there. We're gonna do the anti-Russ or the the anti-Russ, and we signed Baker Mayfield. I'd like that.
God, you got that last 10 minutes here was gold stuff I hadn't thought about. I love it. Okay. All right, we'll be watching that because we'll have to face Baker, and he's a gamer. He just comes to play football. So very interesting, man. Okay, real quickly, I want to honor your time because I know you are traveling. My guest here is traveling throughout the country right now. Real quickly, just on Pete Carroll, is he going to live out that 5-year contract? Do you think he stays, or do you think that's getting kind of dicey now?
Well, now I think he stays, I guess. But like, at the end of this year, I was like, this is dicey. Like it's Russell or Pete. I was in that mentality. I think a lot of Seattle fans were like, it's the Russell. You too?
Yeah. Like Russell absolutely. Yeah, and I thought Pete was going to be gone. I'll be straight up with you. I thought they're not going to let Russ go, and I never thought they'd let Bobby go.
Yeah, no, and you think, and Pete's 71 now, so it's like
bingo.
You're like, okay, are they going to let Russ go or Pete? Like, let's do the math. Probably Pete Carroll. And now that he stayed, he must have made a commitment to this team for real. Like, because also he knows they're not Super Bowl contenders. No matter what we do, even if we got a Baker Mayfield, which I like. It's not this year Super Bowl contention. That takes you don't go from losing Russell Wilson and being a team that hasn't won a playoff game in a few years to straight Super Bowl contention. It's a 2-3 year plan. So like I honestly think in Pete Carroll's mind, if I could fly into his mind and hear what he's thinking, I'm gonna guess that he has this like 2-3 year rebuild. So like maybe be in a Super Bowl opportunity for his last year, pre-retirement.
I think that's fair.
So I think he makes it through, even though I thought he was going to be gone this year.
Yeah, and by the way, you can't get in his brain because like 90% of what he's thinking about is involving chewing gum.
Yeah.
So it's like I watch him, I'm like, dude, slow down.
Yeah, his jaw's moving quick.
Good grief. Really good insights, my man. This is why you're leading a great podcast about Seattle sports. A couple of things there that I had never even thought about. And you're right. I could see Carroll sticking it out like he's making one last run and then maybe he kicks up to the front office or does something with the Seahawks. I think he's pretty committed. Okay. This has been awesome. I want to, as I mentioned, honor your time. This has been terrific tidbits from the ground, from ground zero in Seattle, even though my friend here is in Houston, Texas right now. We'd like to finish up with a 2-minute drill where we rapid fire and learn all about the sick and twisted things that go on in your mind.
All right, let's do it. I have my answers ready.
Oh, good. Oh, he's considered some of this. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
So here we go. Beverage of choice on game day.
Okay, beverage of choice. I love beers. Don't get me wrong, but I can't have too many beers. Sometimes it makes me too bloated.
It's a good motto.
I'm going with the vodka soda. It's not a regular game day drink, but that actually is what I usually have on a game day. I can sip on them a little easier for 2-3 hours, and I don't get as bloated. So I guess sounds like a health conscious answer. I'm still drinking, but like it's really just my comfort for my jeans when I'm sitting and watching.
I love it, man. You hear that, ladies? We worry about being bloated too. Okay.
Worried about our one pack here.
I got to look good. Vodka man myself. Very nice choice. Surprising choice for game day, but I like it. I'm a vodka guy too. Okay, here's where it gets interesting. Xbox, PlayStation, or PC, or who cares?
I'll go Xbox. Which
Microsoft.
I think I think a lot of I think most people, I feel like in the sentiment of America now, it'd be like PlayStation for most young people or PC. Yep. But just growing up in Microsoft, I always had my parents didn't work on Microsoft, but a lot of our family friends did, and they'd always get the Microsoft store discounts where you get like basically the Xbox at like almost half off. Like they get their like not for resale, like wholesaler prices. So like I'd always like if I ever wanted an Xbox, a family friend, I'd get it for like $150, $200 instead of the $400. So I think we just stuck to Xbox because of that reason.
I like it, man. Xbox guy myself. More PC now, but Xbox guy. God, you got my brain twisted on this Baker Mayfield thing. Like
I like
Baker Mayfield off the Master Chief helmet in Microsoft. I mean, come on. Wow, man. You're tearing that up. Okay. You're drafted in the NFL. What is Sammy's jersey number?
Number 2. Number 2 is my second favorite number, but my favorite number is this will be a 10-second story. My favorite number is number 55. My favorite player growing up was Jason Williams of the Sacramento Kings playing basketball. Yeah, white chocolate.
White chocolate, man.
So he was my favorite. And so 55 was my favorite number. But then when he went to Vancouver/Memphis, whatever, the Grizzlies, he changed to number 2 for a while. And when I was playing on all my sports teams, none of the youth jerseys had number 55 available. They usually had the preset numbers.
Of course.
So I transitioned to 2, and it just stuck with me the rest of my life. And I wore it in football, and I wore it in basketball, and it was the 2 sports I played. Actually, I was going to say other sports, so it's like, no, that was it.
Great story, man. There's always a story behind the number choice. I love that. Chocolate Thunder. A lot of people forget they were in Vancouver for a while.
Yeah.
Big Country Reeves and Chocolate Thunder. Wow, man. Okay, great story. Most underrated Seahawk player of all time.
Okay, this was the toughest one because I was trying to decide if I'm trying to like go up somebody that's like really like underrated by name, or if I just like genuinely who I think is the most underrated Seahawks player of all time. So I'm gonna go with. I have to do a pair of kind of. I'm going to go for a tired guy. I wanted to say Tyler Lockett and Doug Baldwin. I'm going receivers, but like I'm like I love like they're the 2 receivers that I feel like are almost like they're supposed to be like Hall of Fame guys, but they're kind of not at the same time. Like Doug Baldwin had one of the best like footwork in the NFL I've ever seen. Amazing wide receiver, never got the credit that he deserved. I feel like Tyler Lockett's kind of that position, but I'll stick with Doug Baldwin because Tyler Lockett still has a career to go, and like let's see what he's like without Russell Wilson.
That's gonna be it. Yeah,
Doug Baldwin, man, he was really, really special. I don't think he gets as much love as he deserves. Even like Golden Tate took some of his shine during some of those years. and like Jermaine Kearse always had the big plays in the playoffs, and
Right.
I feel like the shine went away from Doug, but Doug Baldwin is, for me, is like one of my top 5 Seahawks guys of all time.
No, he's very underrated. He terrorized my team.
Yeah, always
terrorized my team. So Doug Baldwin, awesome choice. Okay. We're going to go straight Seattle on you here. Space Needle or Pikes Market? Or neither. I live there, dude.
The tourist spots.
It's for tourists listening.
Yeah.
What would you say?
Oh man, I'd say Pikes Place. Pikes Place Market is probably the answer, because Space Needle you can see from afar anyways, right? So like I wouldn't necessarily say you have to, if you're going to Seattle for the first time. For example, I'm taking my girlfriend to Seattle for the first time in a couple months, actually in September. You're going to see the Space Needle from afar, but I was like, I don't know if we're going to go up, but I know I'm going to take her to Pikes Place, because you go down there, just like, even it sounds gross to people that might think this is gross, but like the smell of the fish and just like, the market itself is very unique on the water and iconic. I know Space Needle is iconic, but that's just like, there's a lot of iconic buildings. I feel like there's not a lot of iconic markets in America, right? And I feel like it just hits differently. I don't know. It's, for me, it's, especially on a good weather day, there's nothing like going to Pikes Place.
I would be my choice. It's like going to New Orleans and not going to Bourbon Street.
Yeah,
you got to go to Pikes Market if you're going to Seattle. And
it's
the fish
the
thing,
street.
Yeah, I mean, it's a thing. The first Starbucks ever is right there on the corner. I mean, come on.
Which
it's a
is
big deal.
That is like, I love coffee. It's not shocking, being somebody that grew up in Seattle, which tends to be quite gloomy. So I love coffie.
We should talk. That's what I do all day long. I'm in the coffee industry.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
I would love to talk to you about some coffee, actually.
Yeah.
I have an obsession with coffee. I've even on my other podcast I've been doing in some different coffee rankings while I was traveling in Colombia and different things. So we'll get to that. And
we'll get to that.
Yeah, I don't remember where I was going. I'm a big coffee guy. Starbucks. The Starbucks is really cool to see. Even if you're not a big Starbucks guy, like some people aren't, it's cool to see, like, that's where Starbucks started. Like, it's
absolutely
it's everywhere in the world now.
Absolutely, man. You got look. Starbucks put specialty coffee on the map. People dog on them like they're McDonald's. Look, I don't care how you feel about them. Starbucks did something really special and changed the coffee industry. And Howard Schultz is an amazing leader. Whatever. Whole other podcast between you and me. Coffee, because I'm in the coffee industry. So okay. Nirvana or Pearl Jam?
Okay, so I'm not a big like rock and roll type of dude.
Okay. Again, what's in here doesn't matter.
Yeah, so I'm going Pearl Jam though, because I know that numbers wise, like I think they sold more like platinum albums, I believe it was. I think I don't know. Yeah, I'm pretty sure from my research from the Museum of Rock museum, I'm pretty sure Pearl Jam had like long-term bigger numbers. So I'm just gonna go with Pearl Jam in that way. I'll say Jimi Hendrix. How about that?
Okay. Oh, now you're talking my language. You're talking. Look, I throw those two bands out because I just like to watch Seattle people go nuts on each other. Like, they just start arguing and screaming.
You're wrong.
Yeah, whatever, man. I'm a Chris Cornell guy, so love all of that. Okay, we'll skip right to entertainment. Then we're going to cut you loose, Sammy. The Office, Parks and Rec, or It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
The Office. It's one of my all-time favorite shows, man. I used to spend hours just like on repeat. I used to, like, when I was even in college, I used to not be able to fall asleep until I just had that on Netflix, and just I doze off to it every night. Like, I've probably watched through it accidentally. Now it's off Netflix, but I used to watch through it accidentally like 20 different times probably.
Oh, God. I got to tell you, it's probably on the TV downstairs. It's probably running right now.
Yeah,
it just sits there looping on my TV, and I walk through and I start laughing and I walk out. It's crazy. Okay, and we'll finish up with some Will Ferrell. Hopefully you're a Will Ferrell fan. Anchorman, Step Brothers, or Talladega Nights, extra credit Elf. What's the quintessential Will Ferrell thing for a dude your age, your peer group?
I mean, I feel like most people might end up going with Step Brothers or Anchorman, but I want to say Elf because that's my favorite Christmas movie. One of my two favorite Christmas movies. So
hilarious.
I'm gonna go with Elf. I know it's like weird because it's a Christmas movie, but it actually, like, truly, I watch it every Christmas season. So it's hard for me to not say that one. And I will give you one more. That'll be interesting.
A dark horse, not on the list.
Yeah, and
Okay,
it's
you
I
go
don't
ahead
even
and
know
look
if
it
you'll
up.
ever seen this. Let me see. Oh,
I,
it's a
yeah.
Netflix movie. I just saw it on Netflix the other day. It's called Everything Must Go. Don't know if you've
I've
ever
never
seen it.
even heard of this. What are you talking
It
about?
came
Really,
out in 2010. It's on Netflix.
this is Will Ferrell?
It is Will Ferrell. He is
Man,
the
I
lead of the
suck.
movie.
I suck at this. I had no idea. Okay, done this weekend.
Yeah,
What's
I
it
don't
called
think
again? Where
Everything Must Go. I'll
everything
send it
must
to you
go.
also. It's on Netflix. He's living in
Okay.
Phoenix, Arizona. Like, wife leaves him, basically. It's the premise. And he's basically living on the lawn. So that's the premise of Everything Must Go. But there's like a whole story to this hour and a half movie of just things happening in life. And I thought
Oh
it
my
was not
God,
like
that's
a
great.
super comedy, but it's like a Will Ferrell doing a comedy and at the same time like showing some like emotion personality, which I thought was kind
Wow,
of
some
interesting.
range.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a good one.
You've just blown my mind, man. And I am in a vast wasteland of things to watch on Netflix. So you just locked up one of my nights this weekend.
That's what I like to hear.
Beautiful. Okay, my friend. Thank you so much for joining us, folks. You can find Sami all over the place on the web. As you heard him say himself, he's all over sports or social media, rather, excuse me. So on Twitter at Sami on Tap. Podcasts are everywhere, Apple, Spotify. You can find him on YouTube. And then you can find all of their sports podcasts on thesportsontap.com. Where else can we find you, man? Did I miss anything?
No, that's about it. Honestly, if you want to find us anywhere at the Sports on Tap or thesportsontap.com, and then I'm Sami on Tap on every single platform. It's SAMI for those that know, Sami with an I.
Good
so
point.
in one M, it's spelled a little different. The Sami on Tap, and that's about it. And I really appreciate having you on. It was an awesome, fun conversation, man.
This has been fantastic. And I just want to throw in, Sami told me that he responds to literally everyone who reaches. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But reach out to him. They're a lot of fun. That's how I found him. Thanks a ton for coming on here, man.
Of course.
Couple of real nuggets, man, on the Seahawks that I had not thought of. So thanks for joining us on Gridiron Icon. And we will do this again, man, during the season where we're going to talk copious amounts of trash to each other.
I'd love to.
Okay. Thanks, Sami. Safe travels out there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.